Hey, John here. Here's lick of the day number 118. It's a Petrucci-Inspired Mixolydian pick and run. If you want the tabs, you have the tabs down in the description below. And as usual, I'm going to start by playing the whole thing slowly and then break it down. After the breakdown, I'm going to share some practice advice that you can apply to this lick and hopefully to a lot of other things as well to really improve your playing quickly. We're going to start here on the 12th fret of the low E string. Alright, so this one is based on the G Mixolydian scale. G Mixolydian is just like a G major scale, but instead of a natural 7, you have a flat 7. So the sound is... And we start here on the 12th fret of the low E string. And we're actually playing 2 note per string F major 7 arpeggio. And that might, make some of you confused because we're in G Mixolydian, what does F major 7 have to do with that? Well, this is called superimposing arpeggios, where we have this one tonality, and then we play another arpeggio over that, and that can be a 3-note arpeggio, 4-note, 5-note, whatever. But what happens is that you add those intervals to whatever chord you're playing it over. So basically you're extending the chord you're playing. So in this case, we start on the 7th on the actual F major 7 arpeggio. So we got 7, 1, 3, 5 for the F major 7. But our ear is going to hear it in relation to G. So this will actually sound like the 6th. F is the flat 7, so that takes us into that Mixolydian territory. A is the 2nd, and C is the 4th. And you probably hear this more as a 13, a flat 7, and then you have the 9th and then the 11th. And the reason for that is you're gonna hear it kind of like an upper structure sound, because we already have this kind of sound in mind. Even though I just played it over a drone when I demonstrated it, but it's the same type of idea. So you can try this yourself. Just if you Google G Mixolydian backing track on YouTube and then try playing this lick over it, or just experimenting with an F major 7 arpeggio, you will see what I mean. And also, if this sounds confusing, you can just check out the tabs. You had the link in the beginning, popped up somewhere, but also you always have the tabs available in the description below. So check that out if you need to. And I always include scale shapes or arpeggio shapes, and I write out the intervals in relationship to the key. So you will see what I'm talking about. All right, so with that said, we started on the 12th fret, and we got 12, 13 on the E string, and we got 12, 15 on the A string. Then we'll repeat that shape starting on 14 on the D string. It's very easy. And then you repeat that again starting from E here on the 17th fret. So basically, if you can keep an eye out for these E's, then you're probably gonna have an easier time playing this. So after that, I kind of view this, when you hit the E string, that's where I see the start of the next section of the lick, because you get this descending Yngwie type groups of 4. And I said this was a Petrucci-inspired one, and it is, but mostly in the case that Petrucci likes to blend these 2 note per string type arpeggio things or pentatonics with 3 note per string type of picking stuff. So it's kind of on Petrucci-Yngwie blend. But when I hit this note, the A, I view it as this. So 2 groups of descending 4s. And if you're not familiar with this, if I give you the notes, you have 17, 19, 20. We number the notes from left to right, 1, 2, 3. The sequence will go 1, 3, 2, 1. And then we move that down to the next set of 3 notes, and we do the same sequence, 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so... And we're gonna descend here. It's just a group of 6. And then from here we're gonna do this group of 4 again. So we have 2 groups of 4, a group of 6, which is 18, 17, 15, 17, 16, 14. So then down to 12, and then we do another group of 4. So 12, 16, 14, 12, and then we do another same thing we did here. So basically from here, just repeating the same thing in octaves. And if you've seen some of my other licks here, I like doing that, especially for these, you know, fast picking runs or legato runs or whatever. When you repeat a similar pattern in octaves, it just tends to sound a bit more musical because it's easier for the ear to hear a structure instead of just, you know, million notes flying at you. So again, the last octave here then will be, so you have 15, 14, 12, 15, 14, 12, and then you stop here on the 10th fret, the root note, and then I play the octave, and then I play the flat 7, and just slide up to the octave again. So, again from the beginning. Practice-wise here, you need to be comfortable with 2 note per string picking. So if you're not comfortable with that, definitely take this into my mechanical practice approach. And if you're not familiar with that, basically if we just take any 4 frets here from the 7th, for example, and then you divide your 4 fingers into 2 finger combinations. So we got 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 3, 4. Then you can work on this, the sort of contour of this lick, meaning just moving up the fretboard like that. You can do that, but with these fingerings. And it will sound like shit. It's not very melodic at all. But the good thing is that you can really focus on your technique, because now all you have to listen for really is, okay, the overall melodic thing is not very melodic, but can I listen for, you know, my synchronization? Am I happy with the tone production and all that stuff? So it really has a benefit for that. And also it's easier to move it up and down the fretboard and get a lot of reps in, which I think is really important to build a solid technique. So in this case, if we translate this then, we just go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it basically. And in this case, I would suggest that you actually do the same thing, but you go back as well. So you go, then you do the same thing with 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, and 3, 4. Then move it up 1 fret. And I would do it way slower than that, maybe around . So if you haven't tried practicing this way, give it a go. It's a really helpful thing. And also this will prepare you for other shapes as well, because, you know, if you never tried doing something with 3, 4, for example, and all of a sudden you have a shape where you have to play 3, 4, that's going to be really annoying if you've never done it before, because you're going to be so far behind that you're probably just going to be like, you know, oh crap, how will I ever learn this? So it's a good idea to see these mechanical practice techniques as a way to future-proof your technique. It doesn't mean that because you can play this, you can play every lick in the world right away, but it will set you up for more success for sure, because you balance your left hand and also your right hand. The next thing I would do, well, besides if you're not comfortable with this, then you should get comfortable with that, and you know, basically it's a good one to do. And this one is a bit tricky because you can't really restart it. because you're ending up on this finger. So in that case, if I want to loop something like this, I would just add a couple of notes in this case. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can repeat it because it's quite annoying to sit. But you can do that if you want. But after that, I would make sure that you can get through the transition here. Right? So well, that turned out great because that's a really good exercise, because you're going between 2 notes per string into this transition on 1 string, and then you go basically 3 notes per string, and then you happen to end up on a downstroke here again. So this one's a really good one to practice. Move that around the fretboard. One thing to keep in mind is that if you find that you can do something already, let's say you work on this and the 2 note per string thing works great, make sure you don't practice that. You know, you can, of course you can warm up and just check in that it works. But once you get through a particular problem area, you don't need to go back and just repeat that over and over again, because it will still be there. And you're much better off working on whatever the next problem area is. And this is very hard to do because, at least for me, so I really need to remind myself of this as well, because it's so easy to get stuck repeating the stuff that actually feels good instead of actively pursuing the stuff that doesn't feel good at all. But that's where the real improvement lies. So whenever you feel like, well, this works pretty great, but this part, and we all know what parts kind of suck, and we kind of don't want to do them because of that reason. But the best way forward here is just go straight through that obstacle. So instead of being like, this doesn't feel good, I don't want to practice this, try doing the opposite. Just try going full blast on this problem area and see what happens if you just spend an inordinate amount of time on this particular problem area, whatever it might be. And if you feel like, well, yeah, but I'm not that great at, the previous thing, well, spend some time on that as well. And but like 80-90% of your practice time on one area. And that doesn't mean that you sit there and repeat the same thing over and over again. You can come up with different exercises that sort of exaggerates the problem that you have, or moving around the fretboard, doing all kinds of different things to it to really improve it. But that's probably my best practice advice, and whenever I manage to follow it myself, I really can see the improvement very, very quickly.